An old scholar once said that we should not look upon tragedy and disaster as sad events. Rather, we should see them as opportunities to show our mettle, to demonstrate our qualities, to implement all those teachings we picked up as young men. Disaster and tragedy should be ways we accomplish the goals that we don't necessarily set out, but the goals that we should be prepared for. But I was thinking not only should tragedy and disaster be seen as philosophical events, but also all moments, all situations should be seen as opportunities to show who we really are, to demonstrate our identity. Because in the end, our qualities, our metal, what we're made up of, is our identity, is who we are. And it doesn't necessarily mean who you are in terms of your instinctual drives. Like you could be someone that gets easily frustrated, but because you don't demonstrate or you don't show your frustration, you always manage to control your thoughts and feelings and don't allow yourself to be overwhelmed by certain situations, even though you feel sometimes overwhelmed, emotional, full of overburdening thoughts. You manage to rein that in and demonstrate your quality as a good manager of disasters and tragedy. So I was thinking, well, this is applicable in all situations. I mean, some people seem to be very good losers in that they learn from their losses, they learn from their defeats. But when it comes to their victories, when it comes to moments and times of abundance, seem to lose, or they don't have that quality of control. They don't have that element of management. It's a fair comment. How are you? How would you be if you was a millionaire? Would you be able to rein in your instinctual, hedonistic drives? So being a good winner is just as important as being a good loser. And I thought this was important because when you begin to think this way, you start to notice how you are when you're in solitude, how you are when you're alone, when you're not surrounded by your entertainments, by your chattels, by your comforts. How are you when you're, for example, alone, a strange place? How do you cope? How do you manage? How do you demonstrate your qualities in those circumstances as compared to when you're surrounded by familiarity, when you're in a group of friends and family, or when you're surrounded by colleagues? These are all situations when you show the person who you are, the person who you allow yourself to be, who you choose to be. I was thinking this because obviously a lot of people are disappointed, to say the least, with their rulers, but with their leaders. And why is it over decades, over even now, coming on to centuries, we just don't seem to be able to prop up a righteous, altruistic, well meaning man of quality to rule or to lead us? And I would say it's because we've become people that only act when there's some self-serving purpose to it. Because really, with such a large population now, having terrible leaders, a lot of people suffer. But this information is only useful if you can apply it to everyday situations or circumstances, or put it to use in your life. How do people cope then in a society, in an environment where all the good things are crumbling, all the things that matter are beginning to diminish? And I was thinking, I mean, this is something we used to talk about all the time. You know, can you live amongst a zombie nation without turning into a zombie? Can you be yourself? Can you apply your quality in the good times and the bad times? And yeah, it seems these days that there seems to be nothing but bad times. So perhaps it's now the biggest test of your qualities.